I'm going to add a little to the intro as well.
You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, David Hall, filling in for Mike. He'll be here a little bit shortly. He's doing a work thing. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are most of the usual characters. Gregory Hectus, Brian McCubbin,
Hey, everybody.
Justin Pearson,
Howdy, my friends.
and special guest teammate Joe Owen.
What's going on, fellas?
On the show today, we will review the controversial finish of the Coke race at Nashville Speedway. We will look at the Butt Kicker World of Outlaws late model as they kick off their season opener. We'll show you where you can get the track guide for Spa. And did we see the top speed record on iRacing? Also, we're going to have an in-house review of the G seat.
And just remember, you can follow along with us on your PC or mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all these great topics that we'll be discussing by going to iRacersLounge.com and selecting the show notes. So log in, and we'll see you then.
All right, although it would normally be covered maybe in the hardware section, we're going to go ahead and let Joe get to talk about the G seat. I'm envious. That's all I can say, Joe. The only reason I don't get it is I really think my seat's comfortable, and I'm worried if it would be less comfortable.
Well, I can say the comfortability is definitely not there. If you're happy with yours, it's will probably be best. But yeah, it's not comfortable at all. Very nice, and it does the job, but it's not comfortable at all.
So it's a completely standalone seat, correct? And you just attach it to the rig just like you would any other racing seat?
Yeah, it comes in a big box hooked to a crate, very well packaged. Communication back and forth with them was excellent. I got it from Sim Experience. I think it's like $3,200. But what they explain on the internet, what it says it does. It makes your car come to life. I mean, it's worth every penny to me. It's uncomfortable, but it's worth every penny.
What set you down this path, Joe? Like, what made you look into... Because you obviously bought a whole bunch of things at that time.
Yeah, I've been wanting to upgrade, for a few years, and I've had my eye on that seat, and I was like, well, if I had the butt kickers on my rig, and I was like, well, if I got the seat, that would make it a little bit more real. And then I was like, well, hell, instead of going with the seat, I went with the seat and the DK2 Plus motion rig.
So you have effectively replaced Brian as our big spender.
Well, possibly, because the DK2 Plus system. Oh God, that's a must-have. If you can afford it, it's a must-have.
So when you're in it, what do you particularly notice as you're filling the different inputs at, say, an average oval track? How can you describe it?
Before I put motion on just the G seat, it gives you the G forces that you're looking for in your turns, and people don't realize that whenever you are actually driving a car down the road, that you use your butt muscles and back muscles more than you realize. And that's how, when they talk about driving by the seat of your pants, that seat of the pants feel, once you feel that, That's what you feel in your car. Well, that's what the G seat brings to your sim rig.
Software does it work with?
Sim experience. It has. That's what the G seat works off of. Now the motion that came from a company out of California of Sigma.
Now, question.
Sorry, it was Sigma Integral is where it come from.
Go ahead, Justin.
Sorry, I didn't mean to catch you in the middle. Question. Now, the reason why I want butt kickers is because I think I would feel slides more, tire slip in oval racing. Does that help with that? Do you help catch slides with that seat?
Yes, you can feel the car try to come out from up under you before you can actually see it. I mean, it's that in tuned. Whenever you come off the corners and you start sliding, you I can definitely catch the car a whole lot faster because I can feel it a whole lot more with the seat.
Joe, can you tell, I guess, obviously, any of our listeners that might not have heard us talk about this, we've talked about it a lot, but anyone that hasn't really heard about it, what does the G seat really do mechanically wise? As what's it doing to your body as you're driving, say, around a corner or over a bump or something like that?
Okay, it has two big panels in the bottom of the seat and two big panels in the back of the seat, and they're designed, I guess, where they hit right on the pressure points of your body to let you know and give you the feedback that you're looking for whenever you're driving down the road. So whenever you're going into a turn and you feel your body in your real car, is going to if you're making a right hand turn, your body is swinging over to the left. And what that does, you're creating that G force right there. And the G seat actually picks you up a little bit on the um, left side. So it gives you that G force feeling. When you hit bumps, you'll feel it. The rocker panel, I mean, you'll feel a quick bump in it. If it's a bumpy track, um, and if you got it cranked up, it will beat you. You literally will get out sore. I can tell you that.
Joe, did you get the G belt yet for that, or is that something you're thinking of getting as well?
Uh, I looked at it, but I decided not to get that. I have seat belts on my regular racing seat belts on the that I hooked to it, and really that's all I need because the motion that I have hooked to my chassis um, will give you probably the same effect as the G-force built thing, I would imagine.
Do do they I don't, I'm not sure, I can't remember. Do they recommend having a set of belts either way with the G seat, or is it something you can kind of get away without it?
I've seen them with them, videos with them, and I've seen them without them. So I mean, if you just want um, just the feeling of it, you know, you can probably get away with it without having the belts. To me, the belts when I tighten down on them, it puts you suck in the seat, like you're supposed to be in a race car, and you can feel every little thing going down the track.
Now, I know David was saying about comfortability earlier that he's pretty comfortable with his seat. Now, when you're tightening your belts down like that, is that what contributes to you maybe feeling sore and stuff afterwards because you're so locked into it?
No, I had ran it with loose belts and tighter belts, and the seat literally. I think that's the one of the biggest cons that I've came across on dozens of things that I looked at from other sim pods and stuff, and the comfortability is definitely needs something to be worked with. I mean, it's got a little padding in it. I believe it's a Kirby cover that's on it. But the padding, it needs more in it. I did add padding to it. I put like a gel memory foam thing down in the bottom, and I figured that would take some of the feel away, but no, it didn't. So it's good to go.
Well, in my Sparko seat, what makes it comfortable is that it doesn't let pressure points form when I'm seated. Like when I used to sit in my office chair before I got the rig, if I ran an endurance race or any kind of really long race, I would just my basically tailbone would start to hurt, and that doesn't happen with this. But it's not so much that it's cushioned, it's that my weight is evenly distributed all the way up and down my leg instead of sitting in kind of one part. Is with the way it leans and everything.
Right.
Yeah, the seat itself is an actual Kirky racing seat, aluminum, full aluminum seat. So it's kind of like a dirt track type of seat, and it's definitely not made for comfort.
No, it definitely isn't.
The Podfather's in the building.
Yeah, I made it.
Now the motion part on there is a different story. Y'all definitely have to get that if you can ever afford it.
So my question, Joe, about your motion and your seat and all this stuff you've added, is it all too much at some point? Are you in the middle of a race thinking sensory overload? I wish this rig was stationary so I could focus on driving.
Actually, no. It brings. It's just like you just went out there and got in a race car and went around the track with this thing.
Yeah, I can.
So it's about immersion.
I can definitely concur with that because I turned everything off when I was having issues with the sim crashing just to make sure it wasn't a peripheral problem, and it felt so weird to not have any kind of input at all. It was completely different.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. These actuators that I from the company I found in California, they back their stuff and they're huge. The president of the company, actually, I talked to him. That's what sold me on it. I talked to him directly, and he's the one that sold me on the buying these because everything is American made. The motors are made in New York. Other parts are made other places here in the United States. And far as using them, he said you probably won't have to rebuild them until they're about 10 years old if you use them really, really, really heavy. So what we do, I mean, we're probably not using it real heavy, and I can't crank it up because if I'd done that and I put a hole in my wall because I had it a little too close to the wall, and when you wreck and you got the thing cranked up, it's violent. I mean, it's very, very violent.
That's the same thing that happened to Steve Thompson, right? He put a hole in his wall one time.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it would do to him, but you know, the difference between the actuators I got, because I was looking at the D box. Well, this guy here, Peter, at this other company, Insignia, he used to work for D-Box. So him and another engineer set out on their own and came up with the DK and then the DK2 Plus. So believe it or not, all the other companies around that I've checked, and I searched a lot, they're only offering 1.5 inches of travel, like D-Box. You know, D-Box will offer 1.5 inches of travel, but you're looking at the brackets after you buy the brackets and the actuators, and you get the rest of the stuff. You're looking at $8,600 just for that. The ones I bought came with everything, the actuators have 2 inches of travel, and it comes with everything signed, sealed, delivered at your door for, I think it was, give me 1 second, I'll tell you to the T.
Joe, have you tried like a rally cross or dirt road trucks, like the Pro 4
Oh,
trucks,
yeah.
something crazy?
Oh, yeah. It was $6,800 for everything, far as the motion part. But yeah, I've tried it on all the tracks. Road cars, awesome. The mud trucks where you're jumping, oh, that's really awesome because you can feel the tires come off the ground. And when you hit, the whole rig just drops. I mean, it's killer. You gotta get it. You just gotta get it. I just wish
'Cause you
all
can
y'all lived
feel
closer.
you can feel that 2-inch drop. Like they literally are, you're up in the air and it drops the whole rig 2 inches physically, and you can feel that in the stomach, the pit of your stomach, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, she will rock you. I just wish y'all lived closer because you can come and try it out because it's unbelievable.
I was just thinking about everyone's different journey in iRacing. I mean, you got people who just have very simple setups that are stationary. And then I think the next step is haptics on top of that, like a butt kicker or a transducer. And that's the next level. And so then what's the next level is like where you and Brian have gone, where you add motion into the mix.
I think right now my rig, I probably got about $23,000 tied up in it too. So I'm in it for the rest of my life anyway, and I'll never get the opportunity to go and get in a real stock car and drive it, like we do. So if I can't do it that way, I can do it this way.
Well,
You only
haven't
live
been
once,
shy.
right?
Yeah, you haven't been shy about spending your money now. Have you thought about those active pedals?
Thought about the which one?
The SemiCube active pedals? They're like $6,000 for a set of 3.
No, actually, my Ricmotech hydraulic pedals, man, I actually like them. They do pretty good. So I'm about as far as I'm going to take it. If I do anything else, it's probably going to put. I'm probably going getting ready to put a new power supply, motherboard, and CPU in my computer. But other than that, I just put a 4070 Ti in it last month before last, something like that.
Now, remind me, are you VR or triple?
No, I'm VR.
Okay.
And she come to life. That's like I said, with the motion and being in VR and getting in this thing, you just lose yourself. It's just that real.
Well, there you have it. The G Seat report in house from Joe. I wish we had access to all these, like some of the YouTubers do. But we were lucky this time to have Joe actually go ahead and buy it, be able to tell us about it.
We'll just keep getting Joe to buy stuff for us, and then we'll just get him to review it.
Yeah, the Insignia DK2 or the is the motion rig. That's the separate from the sim seat.
Joe, one more question. Lately, we've seen a new product in the last couple months, 3 different versions from 3 different places of just a platform. It's just a flat, imagine a piece of plywood, and the motion is attached to that, and then you just put like a regular rig on top of it. What do you think of that, concept for motion? Is that any better or worse than what you got, and why?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good idea to put something on plywood and go that way. The difference with trying to put one thing under, like the next level, their seat,
The slip thing, right?
Yeah, their standalone seat, where it just moves your seat, your steering wheel, your rig, and everything else staying stationary. Just like if you put your whole rig on top of a platform, it's just going to move in certain directions where other things that you're going to miss that you can't feel with 4 actuators on there, one on each corner representing a tire. Because one, it has the butt kickers built into them, so you don't have to worry about having a separate butt kicker stuff. So they're built into them, and they will knock your fillings out of your mouth quick. You can adjust all your yaw and everything else with the motion rig that I have, to where you can fine tune it into where you feel everything that you like to feel. It's like going to the racetrack basically and say, okay, Mike, here's a Gen 6 car, set it up the way you like it to run it, the way you like it to run it. And that's what you can do. The software is very easy. It's pretty much plug and play and loads of fun. So, I mean, it just gives you a whole lot more feeling with 4 versus putting your whole thing on top of one platform, because you can determine each wheel. You can feel each wheel, what each wheel is doing, and shock, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I follow you. I mean, the platform I'm talking about is like a flat, like a 6x8 piece of wood, or imagine a 6x8 plywood, and then it does have like a D box on each corner that moves each corner up and down. So I think you still get that four-wheel effect with the platform, but I like the idea that D box integrated in as well. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
that sets it apart for sure. I may have to go motion one day. I'm still a stationary cockpit with haptics, but that would be the next step. Maybe one day.
I can tell you the motion rig that I got, them guys, most of your other companies, they give you 1 year warranty, and you pretty much got to pull your hair out trying to get to their support. Well, this company right here, if it rings at the company and nobody picks it up, it rings to the owners, the president of this company's cell phone. If he can't talk to you, you can leave a message or send him a text message. That man will call you back. And I mean, their support is great, and they give you 2 years warranty on this versus 1, bumper to bumper.
Sounds like a great experience. So yeah, I'll have to check into that.
Oh yeah, it is. Well worth it.
All right, Joe, thank you for coming in and letting us know about that, and good luck in your next race, mate.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a wonderful evening.
All right, Caden Honeycutt is among the growing list of drivers who have turned to iRacing for driver development in recent years. William Byron, Ty Majeski, they have used the service to perfect their racecrafts before embarking on their own successful careers. Others like Josh Berry, Timmy Hill, and Parker Retzcliffe, they have all competed in the NASCAR iRacing series since its inception in 2011.
Pretty cool article from NASCAR.com about Caden. And so, man, I mean, this guy is like all over the place. He's in the trucks, he's in the Xfinity, he's in the Coke series.
And in iRacing, he's actually in, we'll talk about this later, but he's in the World of Outlaw late model, the dirt cars. He's in that championship series.
How does he have time for that? I mean, if I was a NASCAR driver or trying to break into NASCAR, man, I mean, and then you're like signing up for these professional sim racing, tournaments or whatever you want to call them. I don't know. I would be focused on my job, I would think.
I guess it might depend on how much time he has to spend in meetings at the shop and sponsor obligations. But most of the drivers, their family time ends up being during the week, right? Or their free time ends up being a little bit more during the week since they're working all the weekends.
Well, they also would be during. It's more like operations hours, so like 9 to 5 for when the driver's in, like at the shop or something. I don't think he puts in a lot of overtime hours unless he's choosing to, depending on where he's racing. And in his role, like he's probably got nights are free or whatever he's trying to do, or just hone his craft in, right?
I mean, Casey Kane has time to go race every short track in America, right? Or Kyle Larson.
Yeah, and I kind of think this shows the kind of importance that he places on iRacing, as being an important tool for him. Otherwise, if you're looking to cut stuff out to create more free time with your family or whatever, and if iRacing wasn't something that honed your craft, then it would probably be something he would cut out, right?
You would think so.
I just like hearing stories. I just love hearing stories like this. It makes the driver closer to us, experience wise. Like Van Steffen was in our practice race. And that was so exciting to me. I just think it brings us closer together to the drivers, gives more opportunity to the sim and NASCAR itself.
He was in the NIS race. In fact, last night he ran in the top split, and every time he passed somebody, I think he ended up in the back for some reason in a lap down and got it back. But every time he passed, he didn't have to do it with stupid driving. He would just walk right past you cleanly.
Makes us feel more connected. That's what I was trying to say.
Well, it's the ultimate VIP experience in a way, right? It's a place for us to get to interact with them without it being unsafe. All right, Mike, we had a Coke race this week.
Boy, did we. How about this? It was a good race. It really boiled down to the end there, a late restart. You had a guy with no tires, you had a guy with new tires coming, and it was just a matter, could he hold him off? And so it was Jimmy Mullis on the old tires and Garrett Maines coming on the new tires. And we've seen Garrett, a few times in contention to win this year. And boy, I thought for sure he was going to get it this time.
Was it
He
Maines
made
or
the
Lowe?
classic.
It was Garrett Lowe.
Oh, is it Garrett Lowe? Oh, okay. Anyway, he ends up giving him the old bump a little bit, get him a little loose. We went to go to his outside, but he the guy in front protected the bottom. Did kind of a crossover move there, but got up alongside of him. And then the guy with no tires basically gave him the old, bump and run kind of thing, not just once, but twice. And that put the guy to the wall. And that was just enough for the leader to get to the line and win it. So Jimmy Mullis wins his first win of the year after several good runs lately. Now, what do you guys think about the contact there for the win? I mean, we had a tweet afterward from owner Jim Beaver, not too happy at all about it. He thought it was out of line for sure. He put, if this was real NASCAR, this team owner would be throwing punches. I said what I said. Jimmy Mullis, your time will come.
Let's be honest. Does anyone really throw punches much, especially owners in the in NASCAR? You don't see owners ever getting out of shape or even being on the mic after a race if something goes wrong. So he's kind of full of crap in that motor. The only owner I could think that would actually come up to the mic right after a race would be what's his name? The owner of Chastain.
Justin Marks.
Justin Marks there. Yeah.
Hold my watch.
Yeah, well, that was one time.
It's dirty, and what's funny is they'll come after you for intentionally wrecking, to police something, an act like this, but they'll let you do this act. So, and this was basically intentionally knocking the guy out of the way. So is one okay, and I kind of wonder why one is okay and the other is not. You're either going to enforce contact that's not accidental or you're not.
Look, when it's the last lap, though, I want to say anything goes. I don't. I'm not the sanctioning body by any means, but in the spirit of how NASCAR works, that was legit.
Now, does this kind of get close to what it's not totally the same thing, but what happened to Larson and Denny Hamlin this season, where I know the 46 car got loose or got up into the car on the outside there, and forced him to the wall. But the exit of the corner, I can't. And I know, Brian, you said that there was a better. I haven't had a chance to go back to YouTube and look at it. But is it just because he's up in the wall that's where he got him, or is there from that view? What does it look like? He was trying to do. Did he force him to go towards the wall more?
No, he was. Garrett Lowe was right up against the wall, and Jimmy Mullis came up, and he was even out of the turn pretty much, and went up and just hit him like at the very back corner of his quarter panel. I mean, it was almost his bumper that he hit him on to get him upset. He wasn't side by side. He didn't not leave him room. He came up and just wiggled him. Yeah, he wiggled him just because he could. Maybe just because that's what he had to do.
But don't right hook a guy.
Yeah.
Wow, it was a left hook if you think about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he did it where he didn't actually hook him. I mean, it got him upset, put him in the wall a bit. But he did. Jimmy Mullis is a veteran in this series. You got to say that, and he knows he was on older tires, and he knows he was going to lose that race unless he made that move. He knows he has to win to get into the playoffs, because it is win to get in here. And so he did what had to be done. And so, veteran move.
Well, if you read this tweet from Justin Malillo, he did what he needed to do to make it to victory lane for the first time in 36 races. Jimmy Mullis now sits 5 points below the top 20 cutoff.
To be in top 20 and to have a win.
So he's got that helps that even more, right?
Yeah, that
Well,
just
sure.
helped his career.
He's got to have a few more good runs, to make it.
And see, I think Garrett Lowe's perfectly in justified to make sure he doesn't have a few good runs.
Yeah, I agree. And to me, I don't know. I have a problem with I'm not going to win unless I wreck this guy. That's how I'm going to win, is by wrecking this guy. I don't like that at all. I mean, maybe it's the long-standing history of NASCAR, but to me, if you can't beat a guy, you can't beat him. If he's faster than you, he's faster than you. If the only way to get by him is to wreck him, then I don't think that's good racecraft at all.
Do we define that as a wreck?
It's close, but if you're going to let him make contact, you can't let the other guy turn around and not let the other guy make contact.
Now here's the bigger. Now he went to the outside. Did he put himself in a vulnerable spot to have that contact?
No, this was set up on the backstretch, I believe. Jimmy was on the up against the wall and purposely went low, so that he would have to pass him high. So he would have to pass him on the high end. And when you're trying to pass high and you're on old tires, you're going to go right into the wall by yourself, right? So he knew that he was low. If he starts drifting because he's tight, because he's got old tires, he's going to drift into him. He set it up to use him as a cushion, I believe, and that wasn't the worst part. That happened in the middle of turn 3 and 4, and that was not the worst part. The worst part is when they exited, the guy was almost a complete car length in front of him, and then he tapped his, he hooked his left rear in order to get by him.
So, do you think the car that was on Garrett Lowe should have been, instead of going high into the corner, like he knows that he's going to put himself in a vulnerable position. We all know if you go high on someone that has no tires, you are in a vulnerable position. Should he have just gone down to the bottom and followed him when he blocked it that far? Or because he had that run, he probably would have... Like, I would just say, like, you could have set yourself up by maybe maybe you put the bumper to him going in the corner if he makes that block.
Well, and the post race interview was very telling too, because Derek Lowe did say, I was going to race him clean to the finish, and then I expected that from him, but I didn't get it basically. So, and he was really upset in the interview. Basically said that his days of running clean with that car are over, so he's not going to race him clean anymore.
Well, to Greg's point, your reputation gets tainted by how you race. I'm not, when I say it was a good move, I mean it was a good move to win the race, but it's not a good move for your reputation. Like now he's going to be known as, hey, I will wreck this guy to win kind of thing. When Jimmy's reputation before this race was really a clean racer, I think, wasn't it him and Keegan Leahy, fought it out one year? Or maybe it was the other guy.
Zach
It was
Novak.
a clean race. Oh yeah, that was Zach Novak. But that was clean racing. I mean, those guys,
for the
respected
championship,
each other.
that was everything
Right.
on the line. That was the entire season on the line in that one turn.
Well, and I agree with you, Mike. Like, I'm not advocating for what he did. I'm just trying to say, sometimes you get put in a bad situation and it turns out bad. And I don't blame him for being mad for what happened. If he got wrecked, he got wrecked. It sucks. I just was trying to point out, like, there is options, and we all make choices of how we're going to race. He chose that he was going to be a clean racer, and the other guy chose that he wasn't. And now he knows what he's got to do from the rest of the season, right?
Nice guys finished last or third in this case, anyway.
Is that where he ended up finishing third? He didn't get second.
Yeah, he got third.
Yeah, interesting race.
I'd recommend anybody, if you didn't watch it, just go to YouTube, iRacing's channel, and you can go right to the end if you want. You can see the finish, you can see the replays, and you can see the interviews. Because another thing in the interviews, he basically said I would do the same thing again. He didn't really have any kind of second thoughts about doing any other option.
So one more thing I want to call out. We did find a replay of the end of the race, but I had to go looking for it. I had to find Alan Cavana, who was one of the announcers. He put up a video of the end of the race, but iRacing did not. NASCAR did not. Nobody else associated with the Coke Series put up anything to do with the race besides just a standard picture of the car that won. And I think this was kind of iRacing's way of maybe frowning upon the way that this race was won by let's not promote this.
PR speaks 1,000 words there, type thing.
Yeah, I think you're right, because they had some really good races that were clean, but a little bit of beating and banging, but nothing dirty, and they promoted it pretty heavy. So I think you're right, Mike.
Right.
I think this was purposely not promoted.
So, do you think, Brian, if they would have gone into that turn, they would have had the little bit of bumping in the middle of the corner and not the thing at the end, that would be a highlight for that series race, even if he, right?
I think so.
All right, well, here's a standings wrap up real quick. I'm going to just give you the top 5. In 5th, currently, this is just the point standings. This is not the playoff standings. Casey Kerwin sitting in 5th. Tucker Minter is in 4th. Jordy Lopez is in 3rd. Nick Ottinger is sitting in 2nd, and currently leading is Mike Conti. In the wins column, Mike has 2, Lopez has 1, Minter has 2, Kerwin has 2.
This is Conti's farewell season too, right?
Yes.
As Steven
Nice
Wilson
if he won it.
Steven Wilson also has 1 win. And that's everybody in the top 20 that have a win.
I don't know. With NASCAR's and Coke race series, the way they end the championship with one race, 4 guys, I've never been a fan of that. I wish it'd just be a straight up points championship.
Wow, and like what are we going to be watching now? Are we going to be watching the battle for someone getting wins to get into the playoffs? Or are we going to watch now Jimmy Wallen see if he makes it in the top 20 to make it into the playoffs?
Do you like the World Series or the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
They play one game, right, for the championship.
I understand
Didn't
why they do it. Yeah.
didn't New England go 16-0 and then get beat by the Giants, and they weren't the champions. They won the regular season, but they weren't the champions.
Lost the Super Bowl. They were like 17-0.
So it's you got to win when it counts. Anyway, speaking of winning when it counts, sometimes if you win when it counts, you might get on the iRacing highlights of the week, Brian.
Yeah, so they had, I think it was 5 or 6 highlights from the week. A couple of really good LMP races that they had a whole lap at Watkins Glen that was really close. 2 guys just going back and forth. It was really good. They had a crash truck series truck that at Talladega, I believe it was, that went from 16th to 1st on one lap. A really good race in there too. So a lot of stuff like that. I did like the LMP stuff. It was really interesting, especially that side by side action. It was the way those guys were working around lap traffic because it was a multi-class race was just really impressive.
I'm just loving the Talladega replay at the end. I think it's Arca car. They're 3 wide, and the guy's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to make what I call the new middle." And that's like, okay, where the middle lane is, in between the middle and the top, I'm going to make a new lane. And sure enough, he shoves it in there, and it's like the seas part. I mean, he just drives it right up in between them. He gets up close to the front guys. He switches down to the second of the 4 lane, and yeah, classic move. And then they all wreck, and the seas part, and he wins the race. Pretty cool.
That's like the new middle, Mike, the way he's going around.
Yeah, usually my new middle is between lane 1 and 2, but he went between 2 and 3.
All right, I got the next one since I tend to be the guy doing most of the road racing, other than Donnie, who's getting into it. They've announced the Season 4 GT Racing updates. It's a post from Greg West. And it makes sense. I was listening to one of our other shows that are a little bit more road-centric, and they were wondering what's going to separate the ESS division or series from IMSA, because they're going to GTE is disappearing and they're going to GT3, and the answer is nothing. So essentially ESS is going away and being turned into a GT class only series, so that the GTs will still be active. I hope that means they may do a little bit of updating on them as well, but I guess there's not really any updating to do because there's not any new GT cars being built. But that's what's happening is IMSA is actually moving to Class A license instead of Class B license. That's now going to become the top of the ladder, and the GTE series is going to become Class B and also drop to 45 minutes. They are still going to have the Global Endurance series, which is 6-hour endurance races, but it's the IMSA cars.
GT3 only.
I'm kind of glad that they still retain the GTEs, David, just because I would hate for them to lose a whole bunch of content there racing.
Well, I won last week in the GTE. That Ferrari GTE is just kind of
That's what I was saying, right?
drive.
Like,
I hate the GT. I don't like the GT3 class. I can't explain the difference why they're so similar, but the GTE, I guess it has just a little bit more downforce, and the fact that it doesn't have the anti-lock brakes, and just the way it just feels better for me driving than the GT3 does. I tend to be, I guess, biased towards higher downforce anyway, because of how terrible I am in a cup car.
But I've always liked the Ford GT in that class, or the Porsche 911 in that one feels really good too.
And there's a lot of Corvettes you see on the track as well.
Yeah, that was a big one, and that Corvette was a big thing for iRacing when they got it. So you don't want them to, when they did all that stuff. I just would hate to see them eliminate like 4 or 5 good cars because of a series that disappears in life, right?
Yeah, it'll be a little disappointing to not get the multi-class experience, but that's okay. I probably will still try to run that sometimes, especially if it's at tracks that I know pretty well. Next up, Brian, we have Charlotte Rally World.
Yeah, this was a post on the YouTube channel for Bo Albert. He set a iRacing world record at the Charlotte Rallycross in his Subaru and posted the video on his YouTube channel. So it's really just a video, lap of him doing this world record. And man, he makes it look so easy. This I Charlotte Rallycross course is the one I hate the most when I do rally stuff. I just, for some reason, there's a couple turns in there just kill me every time. But man, he has this thing set so perfect. He's going around these corners right on the wall, just the right amount of the back end coming around, not overdoing it. The one there's a real sharp turn. I'm not sure what number it is, but it's backed by where the camera hangs out. The overhanging camera reaches out across the track, and I always destroy that turn, whether I'm in a rally car or the off-road trucks. But man, he just hits it perfect. So excellent lap. Really impressive, the car control that he had in this thing.
So it's a 41.135, the world record, and this made me go look at my world records, or my lack thereof. I don't have any, but when I was looking at them, I realized I think it's only a world record if it's from an official event. So hosted doesn't count, testing doesn't count. These records you see on the website are only from official. The other thing I kind of was looking at was like, there's a lot of world records. There's a lot of car and track combinations. Like, has anyone ever counted how many car track combos there possibly could be? Like, there's a lot of world records out there to be had. So I'm thinking, okay, I wonder what car and track combo that I might potentially be able to set a world record in. I never really figured out the answer though.
Well, if it's an official thing, that's the tough part, right? Because then iRacing has to make that a series, right?
Right, you have to race something that's available, right? Yeah.
So it's like you're not going to see a world record for the Cup car at Le Mans.
Right. Good point.
So there is infinite amount of, like, there's going to be a lot of combinations. It's just because it's locked to being an official event, you're hamstrung that way, to where it's not an uncommon thing where you're not going to find an uncommon car to try and set one because it's going to be a common race.
Well, while we're talking world records, Justin, this next video is kind of right up the same alley, yeah?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. TP Sim Racing tries to set the top speed record among iRacing cars. And yeah, I'm not familiar with this track, but yeah, he picks a straightaway and he just tries to see how fast these things can go.
It's the Le Mans Classic, which
It's
has
Le Mans,
a really
yeah.
long straight.
With no chicanes on the back, yeah.
The Le Mans Death Trap, you mean?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was, he never even tried to brake for the turn. He was just going full speed and just ran into the wall at the end. But it was pretty fun to watch.
Interestingly, the prototype was faster than the Formula car.
And then at the end, he ended up going from Le Mans to Talladega to try to reach an overall speed record. And he did reach the record at Talladega in the Dallara jet car. I think it was 250 even.
Yeah, it was
Dallara jet car.
Yeah. But yeah, so when he was on the Le Mans course, he tried a regular Formula One car. Actually, the last year's version, the 12 version. He tried the old school Indy car. He tried the jet car, and then he tried the LMP, which actually was the fastest of the three or the four at Le Mans because of the boost. It was a little slower until he hit the boost, and the boost really pumped it up to about 240, I think it was. 242 maybe.
What surprised you, Brian? I think the IR18 Indy car surprised me. The speed it showed.
Yeah, that was fast. That was the second fastest of the four. But yeah, that thing was hauling butt.
Doesn't a fully set up to sprint prototype own the record at Nürburgring?
You're talking about the hybrid Porsche?
Yeah.
Yes, it's an unrestricted Porsche that took it.
Well, they also had it set up. I mean, the LMPs were not particularly restricted, and that's one of the reasons they tried to phase them out. It's because they got so expensive. But they built it to run a couple of laps instead of being able to go for 24 hours as well, which means so you can sacrifice a few things, including the power, to go faster. I mean, including longevity to get more power.
I think because obviously there's an energy recovery rule that they were under. You're hampered in the actual racing. I think that was taken away for that lap. They basically had energy recover for the whole lap.
So TP Sim Racing, this is his YouTube channel, and he's also one of our listeners. He's in our Discord. His name is Tim Perry. He put out a challenge during the video to anybody to try to beat his speed. So his top speed, as Brian mentioned at Le Mans, was 245 in the LMP, and then 250 at the Talladega in the jet car. So if you want to beat Tim, get out there and see if you can get a faster time. He's put out the challenge.
You're probably going to see some guys, aerodynamic some of these cars out to make some more speed out of them.
Could you imagine the Cup car on that classic setup at Le Mans instead of the one with the chicanes? You'd melt the brakes after 3 laps. Well,
Like a Gen 5.
Well, no, maybe I don't think the Gen 5, but the Gen 7 has good brakes. That would be funny.
It'd be kind of weird because down that long straightaway, you're cooling off those brakes like crazy, and then all of a sudden you're trying to stomp on it, and then you're gonna go down another straightaway that cools them down. That would be really, really, really taxing on a set of on any car's brakes.
All right, we know that both Real Life and iRacing Spa are coming up pretty soon, and we have something of a turn-by-turn guide, Greg.
Yeah, so iRacingStuff.com posted an article just giving tips on, or a lap around Spa with tips on each corner, the names of all of them, and just going through it step by step, just to maybe familiarize anybody that's not with it, wants to, that doesn't know what to do when they're going to the corner. But it's kind of a good little guide to look at.
It's like a written out, this is how to attack every corner. So for example, turn 5, Rivage. It says enter Rivage from the right side of the track, aiming for a late apex. Be mindful of the curb on the inside, as it can upset the car's balance. Get a clean exit, setting up for the run towards the fast and flowing section of the track.
Now, is this a 2-part article? Because it looks like it only goes up to turn 10 on mine, at least, unless I'm missing something.
Well, the turns in the text don't line up with the turn.
That's true.
Because turn 5, Rivage, is actually turn 8.
Point.
It's also sometimes called the teaspoon, I think, or something spoon related, because it's a really highly banked 180 hairpin turn.
So here's how he describes one of the most famous corners in motorsports, a rouge. A rouge is a legendary sequence that demands respect. Stay close to the right-hand side of the track as you enter, preparing for that uphill climb. Maintain a steady throttle input, gradually building speed and keep that car balanced. Aim to hug the inside curb through Radilon and smoothly transition onto the Kimmel straight.
I'm wondering how long Rouge stays at Spa with what keeps happening when they go there with open wheel cars.
They keep wrecking bad there, don't they?
Wow, they just had that young kid killed again on a bad accident there. But they need to stop racing in the rain.
So say they should just race in the wet, not the rain, right?
Wow, it's.
This one is.
I don't need Jeff Burton telling me that the track's wet here or anything again.
All right. I don't see iRacing colors on this car. Oh yeah, I do. It's on the hood, isn't it? What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, this is a quick hit from Twitter of Ty Majeski. So Ty Majeski, he had an iRacing sponsored late model car and took it and won the Slinger Nationals. So congratulations to Ty Majeski. One of the more accomplished late model drivers out there, takes another big win at the Slinger Nationals in the iRacing car.
The Slinger Nationals and Ty Majeski are one and the same. I mean, he's won that thing a bunch of times from what I can remember. But it's neat to see Josh Berry get his break, as a late model driver. And I wonder if that's going to help Ty Majeski, if Josh Berry does well, somebody going to pick up Josh and move him up the ladder kind of thing, or Ty, I should say, Ty Majeski, and move him up the ladder.
Well, he's sponsored by iRacing, and Dale Jr. is a part of iRacing, and Dale Jr. The whole concept of Junior Motorsports is to be a stepping stone. That's literally their philosophy, in the Xfinity series.
And didn't they just lose a driver?
Well, yeah, Josh Berry, and they were pretty celebratory for it. I mean, they didn't lose a driver; they promoted one of their drivers to the Cup ranks, and they pretty much are the go-to place now. Everybody knows that's where the best drivers are in Xfinity, and as well as Crew and other. All right. I was lucky enough to remember to check via remote desktop because I was out of town till right before 2:00 because there was an update today. Season 3, patch 3. Tell us a little bit about it, Justin.
Yeah, we got an update here. It looks like, in general, they fixed issues in the iRacing window that would appear to load, but could not be found anywhere on the screen. Then they messed with the paint shop. A new paint sponsor has been added to the paint shop. Screen to speed.
Yeah, I get this one. The Steam users, anyone who uses Steam is going to have to pay $1 more for any piece of content, car or track. Basically, it says while direct iRacing purchases add the end user VAT and taxes to the price before completing the purchase, currently for Steam members, the end user VAT taxes are built into the Steam price and purchase system. Therefore, some direct iRacing customers may have been paying more than Steam customers. Because of this, Steam content pricing has been increased by that even $1 more per piece of content to bring the prices more closer to identical for all customers involved.
So is that why people were using Steam? Because it was a little bit cheaper?
Saved on the tax, basically. I don't know what the advantage is. We've only heard disadvantages. And now that it costs more, literally, yeah, I don't see any advantage to using Steam.
Well, it doesn't cost more. This is supposed to make it cost the same. Because whenever you buy something, you'll notice you got your price, and then you have tax on top of it.
Right.
So if it's $8.99, because you've got the deal, got the so many cars club, you're still gonna pay another $1 or $2 in taxes.
Yeah, but if I'm the iRacer on Steam and I'm paying, $11.95 a car, now I'm going to pay $12.95 a car. My price went up.
Yeah, but what they're saying though is that their price was lower than somebody who bought it through the website
Yeah, right.
because the tax
Because
wasn't getting applied.
iRacing had to pay the taxes whether they got paid through Steam or not, right? Yeah, they also added support for IPv6. That's cool.
And it looks like they just went through and picked a lot of little things to fix on quite a few different cars.
Yeah, nothing major.
And that's usual. The last patch, or the third or fourth patch, are really odds and ends at the end that have just kind of come through. All right, before we talk about this next one, Mike. Well, it's not going to show up very well because I'm running a background. Yeah, never mind. That wasn't very effective. You can't see my water bottle, but Dylan McIntosh has a different solution for staying hydrated.
Yeah, he's got one of those bladders that he puts water in that you like put in a backpack, and it has a little hose that you suck on while you go hiking. He's basically installed one of those in the back of his racing seat, and then so he puts on his VR, and he's got the VR cables going down the left side of his shoulder, and he's got the hose for the water up on the right side of his shoulder, and that way he can stay hydrated while racing. Kind of a neat idea. I don't know about taking the time to insert the bladder into the back of the seat and cover it up and all that, but
You put
yeah.
seatbelts on.
Oh yeah, I forget. Yeah. I didn't know if this was a hardware, software, or what this was. So
I guess it kind of sort of is, but we jumped into it out of order anyway.
Looks too much like a colostomy bag to me. I think I'd pass.
I was just gonna say I recognize one of those with my father, but it's not for what you think it is.
Wasn't it Steve Thompson that offered catheters for racing?
Yeah, yeah.
nah.
All right, the next one we already covered, but it's there on the script. That's Steam price bump, so we can roll past that. And that brings us to events. Brian, since Tyler's doing the Firecracker 400, why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, so the Firecracker 400, it's the 87 cars at Daytona. It started actually yesterday. They started running the prelim races. Tonight is the second night of prelim races. So basically what it is, the format is there's a 5-minute single lap qualifying where they'll set up the field. There's a 10-lap no incident point race that will get the next set of qualifiers to the finals. Whoever didn't make it on that qualifier race will run a last chance qualifier. And then they'll run the feature race for the evening, and that will determine who gets into the main feature race. And there's a Firecracker 200, which is for the next set of cars that didn't make the main race. So that's starting tonight. If you like those 87 cars at Daytona, it's a great race. A lot of big names are in there. Tyler's going to be racing with Bobby Zielinski tonight, so that should be fun. So a really good event. It's held by who's it? Racer GG, the ones of Landon Castle, Parker Kligerman. So it's their group.
Yeah, and they had some controversy last night with Twitch. Apparently, Twitch shut off their very successful stream. Something to do with Twitch is not allowing you to Twitch to multiple services. Like you can't go to Twitch and YouTube at the same time. David, you were kind of looking into that. What was the situation?
Well, that's their new policy. You can't multi-stream essentially with them and a competitor unless you've arranged it with them. So because apparently today they got a message back, it was just put in the chat earlier, that their stream was re-enabled, and Twitch actually apologized to them. So they have permission to do it, but probably small fries don't. they're probably making enough money for Twitch that it's stupid for Twitch to try to run them off.
Hasn't run us off yet.
So
I'm
the
it doesn't matter if
watching
we won't use Twitch if they kick us off of there. We just quit using it. So
I think they had like over 500. I think is what Landon said when they were on Twitch before they got booted, and then they reestablished over on YouTube on one of their channels there, and that's when I started watching. And they lost a lot of their viewers. A lot of people didn't show back up, to finish watching it. So it was kind of a bummer thing that happened. It was cool that Twitch made it right for tonight, though. The other thing I'll say is I watched one of those 10-lap races, one of the heat races, I guess it's called. I watched a couple of them, and the first one, I mean, irony. Parker is talking about, man, these top 5, they're locked in to move into the next, into the next event, and man, they just got to finish. I mean, it's not about winning the event; it's about being in the top 5 and moving on past the cut line. And as he says it, man, these guys got to be careful and just bring it home. They shouldn't race each other. Next thing you know, one of the guys drifts up into the other guy and they wreck. And 2 or 3 of the top 5 wrecked out. They lose, those spots into the transfer spots, fall below in the cut line, while other people that were farther back were able to get, above the cut line. And so it was interesting watching that play out and how they talked about it and stuff. And so Tyler, our teammate, he's going to run on our behalf tonight. I think is where he's running in Heat 7 or something.
all right, Brian, we're going to Volusia.
Yeah, guys. So this is the World Outlaws Late Model Series is back. Started Monday night with their first event at Volusia Speedway in Florida. It's sponsored by Butt Kicker and has a $25,000 prize pool. Last year's winner, Evan C. Just dominated last year. If you remember, he finished first and second in every single race except for the 10th, and that was because he got suspended in the 9th for contact. So he missed the last race and still won the championship because he was so far ahead in points. And he's back this year. And I was curious earlier, with the dirt update, whether it maybe leveled the playing field for Evan, and some guys might be better on the new model. Well, Evan wound up winning the qualifying, so started on pole in his heat. He won his pole and won led every single lap of the feature. So he's still dominating this series right now. Finished first, and it was swept the whole event really. Barrett Bishop finished second. Kendall Tucker finished third. So he's off to a great start to the season, pretty much the same way he finished off last year.
And newcomer Caden Honeycutt finished 10th.
Yep, Hayden finished 10th. So yeah, it was a good event. It was really well run. I thought that not a lot of cautions in the feature, which was good. They had like a first lap caution, and it pretty much evened out after that. I think the winning margin was like a little over 2 seconds, so he had a comfortable lead.
All right, Justin, let's hear a little bit more about the 2.4.
Yeah, David. iRacing presents the Race for More 2.4 National MS Society on August 3rd.
We've talked about this many times, but yeah, this reminder, it's coming up a couple weeks, 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now.
Yep.
And have we heard?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, have we heard anything from Greg West about for information that he's done in the past?
That will happen on the race.
Yeah. Well, but he usually says, hey guys, if you donate this much, I'll start spilling some secrets or something like that.
Yeah, I think they'll start doing that. They usually do that like a week out, maybe. So I don't. I think we're not close enough yet.
Gotcha.
Is this
And
an annual event that usually happens?
This is
is
the
the
third
third
annual.
year.
Oh, okay.
I think it had a different name last year, but it's basically the same event.
While we're hitting the events that are coming up that we've already covered, we do have this 24-hour spa coming up as well. That is next weekend. It looks like July 21st through 23rd. Um, all the usual stats on the times, D class. It's all the GT3 cars basically. I don't think the balance of power is posted yet. It will be posted 8 days. Nope, it is posted. Here we go. BMW lost a percent of power and fuel. Uh, the 488, same thing, except 2% of fuel. The Mercedes is losing 1% power and 2% fuel. And those are the BOP changes. And then one more, we've got the Porsche Series qualifying, Greg.
So, hold on, I'll just bring it up. The Tag Heuer Series Esports. I always get that screwed up. Their qualifying series is announced. It's a 6 series race or 6 series event. Um, it's going to be at Hockenheim, Silverstone, Red Bull Ring, Watkins Glen, Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, and or I guess that's Imola, right? Or not Imola, Monza, right? The last one there. Just trying to figure out which one that is. So if you want a chance to compete for a share of $200,000 in the 2024 Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, the first step is the journey is to kick off on July 22nd. So I guess it's open to drivers with road license B2 or 4.0 and up. The races will be at 18:45 GMT every Saturday with multiple splits based on iRating. Top 15 score or qualify may earn entry into the series.
Podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find us. Mention that podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We do appreciate it. Check us out on Discord. If you're on Discord, guys, you would have seen I've mounted my new oval wheel I got from Max Pappas, and I'm loving it. I had to buy a half-inch adapter uh, to make it go from 3 to 6 holes, and it stuck it out another half inch, and it's like really close to me now, close enough I can actually put my forearm up on the wheel, kind of like Mark Martin does. Uh, the the wider diameter, I'm just loving it. So the look is really good, and enjoying it. But yeah, get on Discord and check out the pictures. Don't forget our website, iRacersLounge.com. We're in regular rotation at Performance Motorsports Network.
All right, Brian, it was fantasy at Hotlanta. How'd we do?
Yeah, so Atlanta was a Sunday evening race, and it was rain shortened, um, and that had a lot to do with the points and how things shook out. But it turns out that Donnie Spiker won the week. So a hometown Tifosi driver finally won a week at on this fantasy series.
And you want to know what's ironic about that? Were you paying attention when he won? Was he happy?
No,
He
what
was
happened?
pissed. He was pissed because they called the race. And I'm like, dude, you won.
I was doing really well up into that last caution. Kind of screwed me because all the Fords got shuffled back. Kozlowski, I had him. Blaney, I had him. They all got shuffled back, and I dropped down to the 20s. Mackenzie Stevens, who's not here today, he finished 7th. Solid performance by Mackenzie.
Well done.
So, in overall standings, Canadian is leading the way with Team Dean. Sorry, Team Dwan. Who's that? Can you see that? I can't.
Yeah, that's right. Team Dewan, Trick Dickel, North South Racing, and fifth is NASCAR Jetty 2. Jedi 2.
Looks like Tony Groves is a top finisher of our group here in 10th place right now so far. Donnie Spiker's in 11th, though.
Typical restrictor plate kind of race. A lot of people liked it. I think the asphalt's aging faster than expected.
I think. What do you guys think about them shortening these speedway tracks or speedway-like tracks to make it more intense? Because that's what made that race exciting.
It
when
was
the rain
not.
came.
It was not the length. It was the uncertainty of when the race was going to end. They didn't know really if they were going to be 10 to go or 5 to go or 30 to go. If you want this kind of uncertainty and this kind of racing, you're going to have to put it in a little secret envelope that only one guy knows how long the race lasts, and just let them all guess, because that's what created the intensity, not the fact that it was a shorter race. Think about some of the all-star races and how dull they can be. They're 20-lap shootouts, right?
Well, it's a good point. I mean, if you say it's a 300 miles instead of 400, and they know that, they're just going to ride around for a shorter amount of laps before they go racing, just like they do now.
Yeah, they're going to do 250 miles of 300, not pressing it.
Yeah, and you can't tell them what that distance is in the middle of the race, because that's what happened at the Chicago Road Course when they shortened that race. It helped some people who weren't counting on it, and it helped those who just happened to be saving fuel or whatever. So it was it completely turned the tide of the race in the middle of the race.
Do you think New Hampshire's kind of the people that are putting New Hampshire on are kind of shaken after the last 2 weeks of good NASCAR races, and then they're going to the short track of New Hampshire?
It
Well, we
won't
know
live
that
up.
there's still trouble with the short track package, but got to remember also that one of the things that makes special races is that they're special. And how is something special? It's less common.
Title idea?
You
So
take
what's next week?
you take it's New Hampshire. You take too much of anything, and it can become less interesting.
Are you talking what's after New Hampshire?
Yeah, because I'm already snooze fest over New Hampshire, so
I want to say Michigan's got to be, or Pocono's got to be coming up.
I think I was telling David last night or the other day, why do we even go to New Hampshire? I mean, we had drivers die there back in the day, Tony Roper and Adam Petty. It's just not a great track. I mean, the angles aren't great. Not safe, for one.
It didn't
Well,
last year. It started raining last year, and they didn't throw the yellow, and everybody wrecked going into the first turn.
I think it's calling it not safe is no different than calling Daytona not safe. All right, we've had drivers die there as well.
Well, it fast down the straight at New Hampshire, the brakes fail. There's nowhere to go. That's how those two guys died.
Nope, those were hung throttles, not brakes.
Was it hung throttle?
Yeah, that's before they put the kill switches in. Well, I think one of them had a kill switch. I think Tony Roper didn't, but I think Adam Petty had it. It didn't help. I guess we're going to Pocono and then Richmond, Michigan, the next 3 races after here. Then Indianapolis road course. I didn't realize the 2 road courses in a row. Because then they go to Watkins Glen after.
All right, it's time for some hardware software, sponsored by Metro Ford of Chicago. We're going to open it up with Turn Racing BP2 button plates, reviewed by somebody. Who reviewed it, Mike?
Sim Racing Den, one of my favorite channels these days, and he likes it. It's what you call a button box for a wheel, you know. So like you take a race wheel and screw it onto this carbon fiber, you know, plate kind of thing, and it provides you buttons that and paddle. Um, and why he likes it is it's really quick to switch out the wheels. Like you could take an oval wheel and attach it, and then with 3 screws, remove it and add a formula wheel to the same button box. So if you're a budget minded person, you can only afford one QR and one button box for your wheel. You can get different rims that you can switch out. This is a neat alternative. Now it has a magnetic cover that hide the 3 screws, and so that cover can be customizable. You can use the Turn Racing logo. You can get your own logo on it. You can do like a track map. There was a really neat one that had a track map.
Nürburgring.
Right. And so you just pull off that magnetic piece, you undo the 3 screws, you switch out the wheel. Now this isn't for me. When I switch from one wheel to the other, I want it to be quick, and that's why I have 2 QR setups. I have 2 extensions. I can switch between wheels within 30 seconds. So not for me, but might be for somebody out there.
All right. I've done some telemetry studying in the past, like when I've done some coaching sessions. But Justin, what do we got here from DJ Yee, Jay?
Yeah, he shows a video on how to break down telemetry graphs on to better your lap times on tire saving. You know, he talks about throttle time and brake, and just really goes through and, you know, just picks it apart, simplifies it.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. I mean, if you want to learn about telemetry, this is a great little video to start with because he breaks it down, talking about it, showing you visuals about what to look for when you're looking at this telemetry. You see these graphs, you see the different lines, but what does it all mean? What does it mean when I see the line go up and down and this kind of thing, and one line goes up or down before the other one does? He, you know, explains it in very layman terms what you're looking at.
Well, one thing it means is when Denny Hamlin can tweet it when he gets wrecked on purpose.
So obviously he's using the or VRS software there to show what it is, and I wish what they would do on VRS, and I don't. There's simple explanations for like the little boxes there. You can get an explanation of each one of these lines. I wish they'd have like a video where they teach you what each of, like this guy's doing, where they would go through each thing and have a someone going through what each part means on that software. It's not like it's a confusing software, but it would be nice to kind of understand it, you know, in a visual way by someone talking about it.
Well, if you go and watch the tutorial videos, you actually will see that quite a bit because they have all that telemetry up there when they're teaching you a track.
No, I'm saying what it means. Like, I get that it's there, David, but I'm saying,
To explain, they'll say, "Look at the throttle shape here," and you can see that they actually describe what the main lines mean. They'll show you how they'll use it, and they'll tell you exactly how much wheel they had on it, and they'll put their mouse cursor right over the wheel telemetry. So some will use that. Now you probably are talking about going through every single detail, but
yes.
they do cover the ones that are the main the main ones. They'll talk that you're going to look at it in a video like this as well.
Yeah, because I'm talking about like when you're doing like changes to like wanting where the splitter is, where the center and the left and right sides and the side skirts and like for ride heights and things like that. Like just go over what it's doing so that it would be, for their software, what it means for their software.
Yeah, this video from DJ UJ is more about just the throttle, brake, and steering trace, really, and what you're seeing when you look at those. That's really his focus here.
Yeah, I was really interested in the steering angles and the steering input of stuff because that's where you save tires and when you're doing a lot of long run races like you get in OBRL, that's where you get killed. You don't get killed on how fast you are. You get killed with how much tire you wear out. And so this was a really good video that teaches you how to save tires and how to use this telemetry to help you do it. I thought it was really good.
Great YouTube channel, by the way, this guy. Every video he puts out, I like.
All right, next up, Mike, we have a rig review.
Yeah, I grabbed this one because, wow, I thought this is a unique setup because he's got an ultra wide monitor in the middle, and then he's got 16 by 9 monitors on the left and right, all with slight curves. And so it's a triple setup, but it's a very unconventional triple setup because with triples you're supposed to use all 3 monitors the same make model. At least that's what most people do.
Would that not? I guess they would all have to be close to the same refresh rate and all that stuff for him to. Unless he's probably using NVIDIA Surround, right, to do it instead of separating them.
So I want you to look at the center monitor there, Greg. Look at where the window net is on the center monitor.
Yeah, it's like a third in.
It just feels wrong to me. I don't know why when I see it that way.
It almost looks fisheyed.
It almost looks like he should have just raced with the one monitor. I like the setup. Don't get me wrong. It just the field of view doesn't. The window net shouldn't feel like it's in front of him. It should be to the left of him.
Now, it almost looks like the center monitor's offset from the steering wheel. Do you see that?
It kind of looks like it's cockeyed right.
I
Right.
think that's
It's
just
over
the
to the right a
angle of the
little just
camera.
because of that.
Yeah, it might be just the way it's sitting on behind. You're right, David. But I feel like I don't know. Is this a design choice or was this a availability choice?
Well, it's a
Best
forum
guess is-
post.
Best guess is design. I don't think you'd be stuck with just those monitors. Or maybe he started with the ultra wide and then say, hey, I'll stick these other 2 on as well after getting the ultra wide.
Now, Mike, on that second kit one he does where it's all lit up with all the colors and stuff, when you look at the one on the left side, it's just a window net. It's kind of weird. It's just window net. That's all it is.
Right. Like, what's the point? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would want to do this.
I mean, he's got a great room, an awesome idea. I don't know. I guess what I would do if I had that kind of setup, I'd run the ultra ride and have VR as a backup for both.
I just think you should think twice before mixing and matching your triples.
All right, next up, Track Racer has announced that they're launching their own direct drive wheelbase in Q3. It looks like they're going to be 13 newton meters and 20 newton meters. And that's Q3 of 2024, actually.
So it's like over a year away.
Question is, are they late to the party?
Yeah. There's a lot of people doing direct drives now.
They're just
And it
direct
doesn't
competing
look
Including
like-
this
when
next one.
Well, if you look at their list there, look, you can see all the direct drives.
and it doesn't look like it's competing in that space like the Fanatec and Moza with the real entry levels, that are like 5 to 8 newton meters. Because these two come in at 13 and 20 that they're announcing, and I don't think they would probably hit that price point with those power bases that power.
Yeah, that's middle upper for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be talking about it in about a year, I guess. What about the pro racing simuladores?
That's
Justin?
right. Brazilian manufacturer Pro Racing Simuladores has an assortment of their direct drive wheelbases to choose from. I thought I knew every direct drive that was made until I saw these.
It sounds like everybody's making them now.
So they're out of Brazil. They have a 10 newton meter called the Sport. They have a 15 newton meter called the Pro.
I'm curious where they're located in Brazil. I go to Sao Paulo twice a year with my wife. Huh, this is interesting. This is cool.
Justin, you definitely want to follow them on Instagram. I do, and that's how I ended up seeing this stuff. But they sell all kinds of sim equipment. They have pedals and different things.
I wonder the price point in reais for them. Huh, I'll look. Reais, but the exchange rate goes between $3 to $5 through American money. So our $1 turns into 5 reais over there. It used to. It's back down a little bit. It's probably like 3.25 now.
How expensive is the most expensive Simucube?
It's not 5,000.
A lot of money, huh?
Yeah, the exchange rate's 480 right now.
Yeah, so that's the one's no, it's $4,000. This is the biggest one.
That's
the power
high.
cord thing that comes off the side of it's kind of crazy looking too.
What kind of outlets do they have over there, Justin?
It's so you know how it looks, they're all cylinder looking things. They're not straight prongs, if that makes sense. Kind of looks like England, I think.
Yeah, these have the cylinder thing coming off the base actually. It looks like. Yeah, pretty cool. Oh yeah, so here's a list. They have the 7, the 10, the 15, the 21, and the 28 newton meter.
Like that on the market?
Yeah,
Is
that's up there.
Simucube Ultimate. My Pro is 25.
Damn, that seems really, 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 really high for the price. I wouldn't want to know what the shipping would be for that either.
Wouldn't be any more than from Europe. I don't see why it would be, because it's just going up the coast instead of across the ocean. Next up, we're going to jump back to the cheaper side of the market. We have SimJack Pro pedals, which is a load cell. What? Okay, this is confusing. It says load cell HE hydraulic pedal. What does that mean?
I don't think they're hydraulic, but that's what it says on the website. But it is AliExpress. I kind of was hoping Mackenzie would be here because remember Mackenzie asked us, the group in the chat one day, hey, should I buy SimJack? And I don't think anyone responded to him, so I don't think he did.
Does HE mean high efficiency hydraulic pedal?
Maybe, but I think what they're calling hydraulic is just just the damper cylinder, which is not really what you get with real hydraulic pedals.
I think something's lost in translation. Remember, AliExpress is China. Okay, you're buying something from China, and I bet you there's something's lost in translation because these are definitely not hydraulic, not from what the pictures I see.
They just have a basic load cell piston setup.
It's a load cell pedal. So even though the description says the word hydraulic, there's nothing hydraulic here. $201 for 3 of them. No base plate.
They're pretty cheap right now. They're what? Or is it just one pedal? Is it? I don't know. It's showing the whole thing is 50% off.
Yeah, 50% off, or you get, clutch, brake, and throttle.
$230 Canadian. Not bad.
I wouldn't get particularly excited about it though. What about this wheel, Brian? What do you think of it? You get excited about it?
Well, not especially. It's a VRS, a Direct Force Pro Formula wheel. It was reviewed here. We have the video from Boosted Media, so Will Ford goes through it. He did like it. His biggest thing was the cost seems out of whack. He figures based on the quality, the build quality, and and what this wheel offers, it should be about $100 less. He thinks, in U.S. dollars. And I kind of agree with him because when this did first come out and we looked at it, it seemed high to me for what it is. It doesn't have it's a no LED screen or anything like that. I think he compared it to the not the Cube controls. Is it the Acer one, Mike? Did you see that part?
Yeah, the Asher V3.
Yeah, the Asher V3. Similar to that, but just the price he thought was a little high.
Yeah, I think Will was being nice. He nicely said this wheel is overpriced. It's a good wheel, but when you compare it in the market to similar offerings, what he compared to was, like I said, the Asher V3. He also compared it to the Grid by SimLabs MPX, I believe it's called, which is that one wheel without a display, a Formula wheel without display. And looking at those two wheels, those are really a better value.
Right.
This thing
and I think
has a tiny bit of flex to it too. Is the other thing. They use plastic instead of metal and carbon, I think, for the actual frame of it, and there's a hair of, like, you can hear it creak a little when he twists it. But he said during racing you probably won't notice it. The other thing that threw him off on this review was the price of this Formula wheel costs more than the direct drive base that it goes with. And it costs more than the pedals that they offer as well. So it's the most expensive product that VRS offers. They have a nice competitive wheelbase. They have really good competitive load cell pedals. In fact, I think Will said those are probably the best load cell pedals he's ever tested. And he said something along those lines. But yeah, I think he feels like this one's a little overpriced for what it is. I'm gonna digress and throw in one more topic here for hardware. A guy on Facebook in one of our sim racing Facebook groups was asking about, man, is there any place I can go and try some sim racing hardware? I'm interested in buying into iRacing, but I really want to try it before I buy it, kind of thing. several people chimed in, hey, there's no such thing. There's no way to really do that. Blah, blah, blah. I chimed in, found out he's local to me. I said, dude, I'm open to people coming over and trying my stuff. Why don't you come on over? And sure enough, he hit me up on the DM and he came over to my house this week. We spent 2 hours trying iRacing. He got to try um, all the different cars, different styles, road car, oval car. I think I mentioned this last week and he came to visit. Well, it didn't take him long after the 2 hour visit. He hit me up again and said, hey, I got a budget of about 7,000. I want you to help me put together an equipment list. And so me and Bobby have been working with him for the last several days on an equipment list, trying to come up with what he's going to buy. And he actually started ordering yesterday. And so he's a great guy. And I'm probably going to talk about his journey as he goes into iRacing. His name is John Zimmerman. And I'll tell you real quick what he's decided to buy. He's going to go with the SimLab P1X. He's going to get the computer computer table from Track Racer, but he's getting the mouse pad and shelf from SimLab. He's getting the triple monitor mount freestanding from SimLab. He's getting triple Samsung Odyssey 27 inches. He's going to do the Cube Controls F Pro. That was one of the things I recommended. He actually was going to buy the Fanatec wheel, the one I think David has, and I talked him into the F Pro for a little bit more money. He decided on the Heiskenveld Sim Pedal Sprint. He's going to get a Prisma NRG seat like I have, with a seat slider. He's going to get the SimiCube 2 Pro with 2 quick releases. He's going to get Corsair headset. He's going to get caster wheels. He's going to get a surge protector and an on-off emergency button for the SimiCube. And that's it for the moment. We talked about butt kickers and button boxes and oval wheel setup and some other stuff, but he's going to wait on that. His computer he's putting together is going to have a 4070. Not a bad choice, and he's kind of got it in a price point that he can afford. So it's been fun.
That sounds like a good one to end up in the topics up, right? So we are cutting it a little close on time, so let's move on to the results.
Yeah, NASCAR iRacing series. Let's finish up last week. Friday Open, Atlanta P19. I just no luck with missing the wrecks, and I ran out of incident points with about 5 to go and had to do a pass-through penalty. Remember that because that's a theme here. Justin, you got a nice P4.
Yeah, just ran a solid race. That's the first one I ran in a while. Just managed the race. I stayed in the top 10 and just kept it going. And that's about all I could get at the end was a P4.
Sunday Open, Tom Dreiling, P3. And don't have any details, but boy, that really cut into my points lead. Because I think my best finish at Atlanta was 12th. He got a 3rd. He's 600 iRating more than me. So, yeah, I think this might be the beginning of the end of my points lead diminishing. So we'll see if I can keep up. I don't think so when he's 600 ahead of me. So I've kind of resigned myself to lose the lead to Tom because he is a great driver. Justin, P2.
Yeah, this was one of the funnest races I ever had, and I raced with Tom. I just stayed locked on his bumper the whole race. We had a quick caution the first 25 laps, I think. Then it went green flag stops after that, and we just stayed locked on. Then eventually we came to a green-white checkered, and I couldn't get connected to Tom, and there at the last corner, and I kind of stole second from him a little bit, but that was a good race. I loved it.
Well done. Moving on to New Hampshire Wednesday Open, I got a P18 after a drive-through penalty near the end after spinning on my own and getting 5 minutes damage. Ran out of incident points, drive-through penalty. David, P disconnected.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna have a super finish, but I was running 24th as the car 32. It was a really tough split, top split. So it was mediocre mid pack speed. And we're taking a wave around with after a late caution. So we're all going to get back on the lead lap and not get lapped again because there was only like 20 laps left. And boom, everybody just disappears. It wasn't come and goes and come and goes. It just instantly kicked me. Never lost team speak. You guys heard me saying oh no," because I knew everybody just disappeared. I don't know what the deal was, but boom, everybody was gone. And I didn't even try to get back on. I heard it was pretty gnarly with a bunch of restarts towards the end there anyway. But yeah, just the bad luck streak is starting to kick back in, as you'll see later.
All right. And teammate Kyle Pendergraft, he got a P3. Car 24 started P5. It just held myself in that top five, but got as high as second on two different occasions. Pitted off sequence to try to gain a grip advantage. Worked my way back from 11th after pitting. Had a sniff at the lead on the second green white checker when the leader drove in too deep into turn one, but he was able to throttle off the corner and keep it. Had one small swipe during a wreck around midway, but that gave me only 4x of the night. And after surviving 22 cautions and 88 laps to come home with a P3, with only 4x, that's the next best thing. A podium is a win in my book. Justin, P33.
Yeah. I ended up rage quitting. I don't usually act like that, Mike, but yeah, I was minding my own business. We weren't too far into the race. I seen the wreck happen in front of me, and I was going maybe 30 mile an hour in third gear, and that whoever it was thought he could still save it and didn't hold his brakes and full throttled it, and I got the meatball, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, sometimes anger takes over. I'm not even going to try to drive this thing back. I'm out of here. Chris ran with us. Chris, our new teammate, he got P13. Race was filled with cautions and sloppy racing. Played with the survival approach to finish P13. Thursday Open, David, P21.
Yeah, I was the only one on this morning because you were busy doing work stuff. It was top split again. I was a higher number this time, so it wasn't as tough of a field, but it was more of the same crap. I got caught up in somebody else's mess on lap 17, squeezed into the inside wall trying to avoid everybody. Got a meatball for 30 seconds and went a lap down fixing that. Stayed a lap down for a long time. I had 5 minutes of optional. Wheel wasn't straight, so I had good speed for 20 laps, and then it was just basically I might as well have been Mike driving because when we had a long run, I had 30% left on the right front. So it was with the toe being out, it was just eating up the right front. And pretty irritating race as well as I had a certain driver that was a lead lap car running mid pack, dive bomb and punt me when I was in the lucky dog position, causing me to lose the lucky dog. Then I finally, after the whole 150 laps, get back on the lead lap because it turns into a caution fest. And the same guy goes crazy and dive bombs all the way down into the lower lane and can't stick it. I sent him a message saying, "Man, you're a dirty driver. That was some stupid stuff you did." And he just said, "Yes, I am. I'll see you." So, um, I almost respect that, but I'm not going to respect him when I see him on the track the next time.
Needs to be marked in red.
Already done.
All right. I ran a road course FIA F4 car at Watkins Glen. I actually went off track about lap 4 and wrecked really hard and destroyed the car. I thought I was ready for that race. I did a few practice. I could make it around the track, but apparently I wasn't ready enough. I feel like every time I get in this car, I end up wrecked. So I'm just giving up iRating every single time. So I might reevaluate running this series. I've been running once a week in this series, trying to get through the season, but I might give it up because I'm just not having any luck. Kyle Pendergraph run a A Open. He got a P12. Used this race on Tuesday to shake down the set and get a feel for the track and the grip level. Race was going well, holding a top 5 for the majority of the race. Car felt strong and planted, but other drivers weren't so planted and kind of ruined my race, giving me 3 minutes of damage and clocking my wheel far left. Limped it home to a P12. And that's it. Final thoughts, Brian McCubbin.
Just settling back in after a little long vacation there, and looking forward to watching Tyler tonight and on the firecracker race. So I'm going to wish him good luck now, and I'll hang out and watch him for the rest of the evening.
Tyler, David Hall, final thoughts.
I'll just say good luck to Tyler.
All right, Greg Hectus, final thoughts.
Just want to get racing, but just haven't seemed to have a chance to do it with a lot of family personal issues going on, and really haven't been able to string together much time. This is the longest I've had on a computer in the last probably 2 weeks, which has sucked, but hopefully we can get some more racing done, or I can get some more racing in this week or next. I'm not sure, but 'tis life.
All right, Justin Pearson, final thought.
Not much. I'm just trying to figure out New Hampshire. I haven't had much luck. And go Tyler, man. I wish him luck.
All right, my final thoughts. Wow, got the sim equipment juices flowing again after trying to help this new guy buy a sim rig, helping him figure out what to buy. But you know what? I didn't have to help him much. He did his homework. I was impressed. For somebody who's never ever even purchased iRacing once, to know what a SimiCube is, to know what SimLab is, to know what Cube Controls is, I'm impressed. I mean, and I think that's why him and I have become friends, and it's just fun to help him out with that. The other thing, happy to get my wheel up and running, my Max Pappas red, white, and blue with the American flag look to it. I mean, the way it matches my blue seat and my red seat belts and the blue accents on the rig, it just looks perfect. I mean, the size of it, the way it sticks out to my chest, where I can put my forearm on it like Mark Martin. I love it, and I've only had one race on it so far. I think I'm gonna like it though. So, hey, with that, hey, we'll see you on the track later.